right, it's you can hear what the weather's like. I've just been to rescue our semi-adopted cat, not by us. The cat kind of adopted as one-eyed Ginger. Um, she's not far off going to sleep. Yeah, one-eyed Ginger. So Grant's whiskey. I will go back to Bourbon, but it's all competition. Oh, I'll tell you that's looking smoky. I don't know if you Jack Daniels though. So this was £12.50 at Tesco's. It's lovely. There'll be smoky aftertaste. Oh. Yeah, so our portmanteau series. Jesus. Now, as I probably explained in earlier videos, kind of did it the wrong way around. But however, we're going to rectify that on July the 24th when some of the early ones like, well, Dr. Terrors and Torture Garden, etc. are going to be covered. I nominated again, as you know, for us to revisit Tales from the Crypt, which I touched on earlier. So, we'll look at... I'll start at the beginning, because I know I touched on it before. You get these four characters get on the train. There's a slight blackout, and suddenly this mysterious man with a beard and a hat appears, drops his deck of cards. Roy Castle's character makes a comment. Christopher Lee is a doubting Thomas, thinks that he's a charlatan and a trickster. The first one is Alan Fluff Freeman, I believe. Yeah, sorry. No, we know the tale. Him and his wife come back off holiday with the daughter. There's this mysterious plant which seems to cry out in pain and got some intelligence. They see these scientists. One of them stays with them, but because this plant is getting cleverer, it realises that the scientist is a threat and strangles the scientist and Rusty the dog, which much to dismay of the daughter. The other scientist turns up and bloody hell, yes. This thing is getting highly intelligent. The scientist lights his pipe and he realises that the plant has not overcome fire. He escapes. Now, why didn't he take the rest of them with him? Everyone else should have done the same and escaped the house. But of course, we can second guess that they did. Because otherwise that scientist would have left them to die. Then we've got the late Roy Castle as Biff, the jazz musician who goes up to some form of Haiti, but it's not called that, it's called something else. And is warned by the late Kenny Lynch not to mess around with voodoo. Because we know Roy Castle's character is curious, doesn't believe in all the superstition, goes off into the jungle where he hears the drums, and starts copying on the music. Of course, he's seen by some of the enforcers of the thing to keep out those ants of the denomination. And is politely warned not to write down the sacred music of the great god Dumbala. And he jokes because he doesn't think it's serious, but he goes off and he says, yeah, of course. Because when he goes back with the real life Tubby Hayes quartet, who plays his band, as introduces, say, well, the Kennedys goes, well, let's get just my uncle because he's a funeral director, because, man, and also the wind blows open the doors, blah, 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 and everyone runs out then. He walks on, he gets scared, he gets nearly run over, and he gets on this tall African chap, or Tahitian chap. All he does is touch him, and all he does is faint. So obviously, he hasn't died, he hasn't been killed, he's just fainted. And his music, with the notes of the sacred music of the great god Dumbala, are ripped up and destroyed. Then we've got Stanley Baxter, who plays the architect, who is sent back to his ancestral home, meets his lovely widow, and then obviously something happens with this basement door that looks like it's been used in years but recently been oiled. And then he remembers about this curse about this werewolf. And it turns out it's the woman, as the spirit of the werewolf is in the woman who was his wife. And we obviously understand that he is killed because he's a living descendant of the person who killed her husband Valdemar in order for her husband to come back. So he hasn't done anything wrong, really. He's an innocent victim of something that's happened with his ancestors. So we've covered Alan Pluff Freeman, Roy Castle, and Stanley Baxter. So 5 people got on the train. 6 if you include Dr. Terror. So we've got Donald Sutherland. Now what we can make out is that she's based in Vancouver or France. I know the German actor. Anyway, as you know, she becomes a vampire. She in turns infects her husband's boss. He likes what he's become, but he said that, he says at the end, there's no room in this town for 2 vampires. So the kid is bitten, and he says to Sutherland, your wife is a vampire, watch her. And then put a stake through her heart. Because when he turns up, he goes, vampires? That's stuff of legend. No such thing as vampires. So then he set him up for a fall because he's killed his wife with his stake through the heart, saying she's a vampire. He must be nuts. So he wasn't killed, or he might have been guillotined, but we'll never know. I guess he might have been, we can only surmise he would have been locked up in a nut house. And then of course we've got Franklin Marsh, the pompous art critic played by the late Christopher Lee. obviously is pissed off because Michael Goff has embarrassed him at one of his shows where he's praising his painting and they bring out the artist and it's a chimpanzee, and at subsequent dinner talks he produces like paper cutouts of chimpanzees and puts them up his stride. And obviously Franklin Marsh is so pissed off because it is, it is affecting his work, that he decides to try and kill him by running him over. He succeeds in injuring him where Michael Goff's character has one of his hands amputated. Now I can only surmise that through the sheer madness that the hand never was actually there. It looks like it's there, but it could be in Franklin Marsh's imagination. And once he's imagined it, he keeps on seeing it everywhere. No matter if he throws it on the fire, puts it in a box tied to a brick and chucks it in a deep river, the hand comes back. And of course, we see that the hand appears while he's driving through the woods, causing him to crash, blinding him. So he's not killed, he's blinded, like Terence Alexander's character in Vault of Horror, who, after Tom Baker slits the painting, we see the flashback where his wife has found about one of his latest affairs and throws acid in his face, thus blinding him. So when we get to Bradley, which is the destination thingy, to see Dr. Terror on the back of him, and then this newspaper blows into him. 5 people killed in the train crash at Bradley. And when the figure turns round, it's a skeleton. Now from that, I can only guess that the moral of the tale is these are 5 people whose spirits were in a state of limbo. They didn't realise that they were dead. Because most of them, with the exception of Franklin Marsh, didn't really do anything bad. Alan Fluff Freeman never officially died. I reckon he was rescued. Roy Castle's character just fainted. Stanley Baxter was killed by the werewolf. And Donald Sutherland was set up to look like he killed his wife, when actually he was led onto it because she was actually a vampire, but not enough room in the town for these to have. That's my verdict of Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, is that they were in a state of limbo and that their souls didn't realise they were dead until Dr. Terror showed them the way.